Hi Mara, I've looked over your lesson plans and here's some feedback for you. In general, these lesson plans make sense. They're well aligned. I can clearly see where students are generating ideas, drafting, and revising. I think there are some moments where you could deepen your direct instruction. So we'll go into the line by line, and I'll show you those moments and talk to you, about what I'm thinking as far as that piece goes. Okay. All right. So your desired results section is well aligned, nicely worded. And it's clear to me that, right, they just finished reading Animal Farm and they're going to be writing an essay about it. I would like to see a list of themes from you listed here so that as the kids are throwing them out, in case they miss a really critical one, it's right there in your lesson plan. You can go back to that. All right. Then you say that you're going to use these themes to write an essay about Animal Farm, and you move right into your model. Sometimes I think a little bit more of a transition would help the kids here. When you just say, we'll use these themes to write an essay about Animal Farm, here, let me write one for you. It seems very disjointed and a little fast for the kids, right? So more of a transition, saying, that we're going to use these themes to write an essay about Animal Farm, and in doing so, what we're going to create a thesis statement about the particular theme and a particular theme in our opinion of it, and then we're really going to be using a lot of the information you used when you were reading, understanding the characters and what role they played in the satire. Just a little bit more of a verbal transition for them to give them kind of this big picture idea of what their essay is going to look like, because otherwise you look like the master, right? Like, we're going to write an essay about Animal Farm. Here, let me write one for you, and I'm going to do it in 10 minutes, and I'm going to make you take a week to do it. Right? See how that subtle message gets through to the kids, and it can be very intimidating to them. So during your think aloud here, you pick satire. You say it reminds you of certain characters who clearly represented people from the Russian Revolution, and then satire creates a tone for the novel. All right? I don't know why you're saying these things. All right, think about Doug Lemov's double planning. So I'm a 15-year-old kid sitting in your class, and here you are just writing on the board. I think about satire in this book, and it makes me think about certain characters. Oh, okay, so are there certain characters that are related to every theme, or only certain characters related to your theme of satire? Right, so am I supposed to pick certain characters or not? And then you say, I want to think about what satire does in this novel. And in my mind, satire creates a tone for the novel. Okay, does just satire create the tone, or does like everything create a tone? Like, can I literally just take that sentence and repeat it and just insert the, my theme right there? Okay, so crack open your thinking a little bit more and talk about why you're making these decisions. Really, what you're doing here is just doing. You're not demonstrating thinking. Okay, you're not talking to me about the criteria for the choices that you're making. All right. So then you check in with the kids. You have them using a list or web format to generate ideas, and I really like all the different examples of graphic organizers you have below for the students to choose from. I think that that's fantastic. Okay, so on to your writing lesson plan. In this lesson plan, you have the students moving. All right. You ask them to share about claim data warrant, what each part is and how they work together. I would like you to have your answers in here too, so that again, as the students are throwing ideas at you and you're trying to, guide them towards these right answers, that you have that answer very clearly solidified and pre-thought out, especially warrant, because that's a very tricky one for the kids. I know that they should know claim data warrant, but I don't know it's reasonable to assume that they will know it well enough to just spit it out to you, no problem, and employ it, no problem, right? So you're going to demonstrate how to generate a working thesis. And I really liked your thesis generator tool below, and your paragraph generator tool, worksheets, I guess you could call them. Those were very well done. So that, highly structured for the students. And then this checklist. I love that. This is the kind of thing that I want you to replicate, Mara, because having having a criteria for writing is very important, right? I mean, anyone can put something down on paper, but the question is, did it achieve the goal? Is it the best way to go about doing it? And having some kind of a checklist or criteria for the students is a beautiful way to do that. Okay. Telling them, I want you to notice how the paragraph is set up and how it's structured. I love that. That's wonderful. This is the kind of thinking I want you to do with your students, such that you've got a model and you're talking about that model. You're talking about the quotations and the explanations. You're talking about the structure. This writing lesson plan is beautiful. Very well done. Okay. Your revision part 1, so you used the strategy that we used in class and had them, pardon me, think about what revision is. You have them go through active passive voice and watch out essentially for too much passive voice. But I really don't know, and I don't think that the students would know why you have them doing this. Why is active voice preferable to passive voice, and why is some passive voice acceptable but too much passive voice isn't? I would take some time before you do this direct instruction to explain to the kids why they're bothering to do this and why in this particular type of an essay or in this particular mode of writing, we choose to use active voice because it's not always appropriate. Science writing is supposed to use passive voice, and you don't want to steer them in the wrong direction. So your direct instruction here is great, and I love your use of humor here. That's well done. But let's insert a little bit of why they're doing that, a little bit of a sales job up there, okay? And then you have them move into the strategy that we did in class. Okay, now I noticed your second revision lesson plan, they're supposed to be looking at fluency, and you use the same revision strategy that we used, but I don't really understand how this time it focuses on fluency. So you say, this time we're focusing on fluency, meaning how the sentences work next to each other. You separate them all, and you put sentence 1 on the first line, and then you say, looking at sentence 2, this sentence seems to flow from the first, so it is subordinate to sentence 1. I have no idea what that means. There isn't an explanation of it. You haven't played with the words. You haven't established any criteria. And if our goal is that our students can learn from us and then go forth and replicate these skills on their own, they have to understand what that means. Why does this sentence seem to flow from the first? Okay. And then here, I'm not really sure. You have sentence 2 seems not to fit. Do we want to remove it from the paragraph and see if it would fit better somewhere else? It almost seems like that belongs in yesterday's lesson plan, not today's lesson plan, because today I thought we were just looking at fluency. Shouldn't I have already determined fit for yesterday? So this one needs a lot of work. This one just seems like you replicated what happened yesterday, but you didn't change any of your direct instruction or give them any of that criteria that I know that you can do because you did it before, in your previous lesson plan, and you did a really good job at it. Here, this is a little concerning. Check for spelling and have your friends help you look for punctuation. That's just not going to work, period. What punctuation are they looking for? How are they supposed to know? What's the criteria? Where's the direct instruction? If you're going to hold me accountable for it on an essay, does anyone need any review on it? I mean, even you guys in 341, tell me that comma rules get confusing, and yet to a 10th grader you say, have your friend help you look for it. So watch out for those things and be careful about that, okay? I've also noticed that you've had the rubric attached to all these lesson plans, but at no point in the lesson plan did you discuss the rubric with the students. And I think that that's fair, to the students to say, these are the pieces on which I'm going to be evaluating you, and let's talk about them and what they look like and why they're reasonable and things like that. And so I think that I would like to see that maybe even, up front in one of your first or second lesson plans. Okay? Thank you.